there's something real familiar about what's happening in South Africa right now. You got South African natives who are taking their frustrations out on immigrants. We've had this happen here in the United States when the Irish immigrants came here. Black people have faced this throughout our existence here. But what you're seeing in South Africa is a complete repudiation of those amongst them that were born in other countries, coming to their country and building businesses. Um, yeah, we know what that's like. And it doesn't make it right. It makes it relatable, unfortunately. What I'm seeing when you got gangs, literal gangs of South African people just rolling up in shops claiming that you foreign born store owners are harboring criminals or are criminals yourselves, and then literally accosting them on the street, checking their papers, snatching their papers from coming with that kind of energy. Go back to your own country is what they're saying. You know what that looks like to an American? It looks like what set you from? Who you? Who you coming to see? That's what it looked like. And you don't have to understand the particular dialects of English that they're speaking. You understand the energy very well. And it's disgusting. It is flat out disgusting. Now, it would be one thing if you're having a problem with the service that business provided you and you want them out of your community. That would be one thing. But it seems like you only want them out because you're not doing it. And then going ahead and committing the crimes against that store owner that you accused him of doing. So much so that it's become a national talking point. And this is on the heels of President Muhammad's speech at the UN, where he's championing reparations for the 12 or 13 million Americans, 12 or 13 million Africans, as he put it, that were put on the slave ships and sent to the four winds during the Great Atlantic slave trade, the diaspora. So, on the heels of that, West African countries are looking for reparations for those 13 million. What about the 30 million alone that's in the United States and near 50 to 80 million in Brazil and all throughout the Caribbean? No love for that. You don't want reparations for the people who have been displaced, but African interest only. That's what it sounded like. And what we're seeing in real time is just how far away from Pan-Africanism we really are. People are starting to gravitate to their own corners, becoming more nationalist in their dealings. We see it amongst Ghanaians versus Nigerians, Nigerians versus Ghanaians, South African now against South African. In this country, there's a backlash against the Somali community, the 250,000 or so Somalian immigrants who are in the northern hemisphere or the northern portions of the United States. They're seeing increased scrutiny and deportation from the United States back to Somalia. It is nationalism taking a hold of what could have been the beginning of real global unity. But has there ever been? I don't think so. And we're going to talk about it right here, right now on the Ujamaa Network.
I'm coming to you live from Johannesburg at a march that's meant to march against anti-xenophobia sentiments here in South Africa. It's called Kopanang Africa Against Xenophobia. This is a group of organizations that are fighting against growing anti-xenophobia sentiments here in South Africa. They are saying enough is enough. We've had quite a number of protests that have come from various organizations protesting against illegal immigration here, protesting against foreigners that are working here in South Africa. And today, we have hundreds of people that are marching. I'm going to be shortly showing you the numbers that are here. Let's just look at the numbers that are here. A lot of people coming here to march. You can even see the posters that are here. One is written, "Say no to xenophobia." The other one saying, "Migration is not an answer." blaming migration is not an answer. Let's just listen in to the noises and the shouts that are here.
Xenophobia is described as an irrational fear or mistrust of foreigners. It doesn't matter where you came from, you're just different. And for me, a person of my complexion, being of African descent, going into some place, I'm automatically considered a foreigner. And it wouldn't matter where I go. As soon as I start speaking, it would solidify that. What you're seeing here is more than just a rational fear. It is a flat out hatred of anything having to do with somebody who was not born here. You're clearly identified as someone who is not from here. And why is that a reason for hate? Well, it's not. But what is capsulated in this hatred and this xenophobic attacks is this puffed up pride of nationalism. I'm from here. What are you doing here? Why are you getting these opportunities that I don't? It's some hater shit. That's all it is to it. I don't care what country you stand in. It's the same in the United States. When we see individuals coming from other countries coming into our communities, doing businesses and thriving. Why? Because they got their shit together. Now, does that discount the fact that people who were born in the community have not tried to get their stuff together? Or is it that they just face different obstacles? And that's what I'm seeing in South Africa. The same thing that we're talking about in the United States. We may have pioneered this whole social construct of attempting to equalize the playing field so that we can advance ourselves. And what's happened is that immigrants come to this country and receive the benefits of that struggle. Meanwhile, African Americans, particularly black males, never get that opportunity that their ancestors and their forebears have fought for. And what we're left with, in some cases, is looking at that foreigner as he is the problem or she is the problem and why we can't get our shit together. And this is at the root of all this xenophobia. I call it nationalism because you're looking at the foreigner as the problem and not your own institutions that are paving the way for you to fester these emotions towards these foreigners who have done nothing but go into your country and do something that you are unable or unwilling to do. I just got back from my hometown. When I grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts, the Hill was pretty much predominantly black. Not pretty much, it was. Now we're talking 25, 30 years later. You would never know black people lived in that area. And the thing about it, not any slight to anyone who now lives there, I didn't recognize a single face. Now, is that because, these other groups made advances? No, it's because we left. We left. I'm broadcasting from Georgia because opportunities in Springfield did not suit what I was trying to do. I couldn't do it there. But I had an education that came from there. And Springfield will always be my home state, but it looks very unfamiliar now. Now, me wanting to go back to Springfield to visit is one thing, but the same lack of opportunity that drove me out and the same problems I was going through while I was there still exist for yet another group of people. But they're able to do something that we weren't. I'm seeing whole neighborhoods, not gentrified, but population densities and ethnicities completely switch over. And what remains is something that benefits the residents that live there now. This is different from South Africa. South Africa, the residents have been the residents, but they're not getting any jobs. They have the highest unemployment rate. They have the highest HIV rate. Because what goes hand in hand with unemployment and low income, but crazy, out of control um, birth rates and HIV rates? You ain't got nothing else to do but sit up and screw on whatever you got around. That's it. So you're looking at these immigrants coming into your community, providing services, and you blaming them for everything that goes on wrong in your life. What the international community is seeing is, hey, you got all this smoke for those, Nigerians or those Ghanaians, but you don't have that same energy when it came to those provocateurs of apartheid that we all saw when I was coming up and supported you against. It is almost a slap in the face to what we thought about South Africa. Seeing this and having to have a anti-xenophobia march in Johannesburg is very disheartening. Very disheartening. But I understand it. I understand both sides of this. I understand how frustrated you can be, but I do not understand why you would attack fellow Africans and not the institutions that put you in the situation that you are in. That you're taking their anger out on an unaffiliated third party. Now, if you don't want immigrants in your country, say that. But understand, those immigrants that came to your country and took over and made you a third-class citizen in your own country, that's a problem that you should have addressed during that time. Now, if your goal is to do what this president is doing in the United States, mission accomplished. That is the example that you're setting for yourselves. You are taking the racist attitudes of the United States current president and driving a national wedge. Who gets to be American in this country is what he's saying. And the only reason that African Americans, foundational African Americans, are not facing the same obstacles that are Somalians or Haitians or Jamaicans facing deportations, because our nationality is tied to this nation. Nations for nationality. There is no African American land across the seas. No. And when we got here, it wasn't Nigerians or Ghanaians. No, those are prophecies. You hadn't even gotten your independence yet. You haven't even drawn up national boundaries yet. And the individual tribes that my ancestors came from, we will never know, because we were not separated into Ashanti or Yoruba. And judging from this pale skin, there was a little bit more that went on to my genetic makeup from those people from the Scandinavian countries. That's why the color of my eyes are this color. That's why my skin is this pale. So understand, I could only exist in this country despite my ancestors. And when I see this type of disunity, it becomes very clear as to why we will never get our shit together. We don't see each other as one. We see each other as separate nationalities, separate ethnicities. And we see each other as the enemy. You are the reason that I'm not doing well in my own country. Go back to your own country and fix it. That's what they're saying. And that's terrible for business.
We are fixing this continent. This thing of you guys moving from one country to the other, it's no longer working. We don't want this as African people anymore. We are tired of seeing African migrants moving all over the world, refusing to fix your own countries. Now we're making it very clear. to you guys, Utitina, we don't want you here. We want you to fix your countries. Now you came here with a traveling document. You came with a passport. You know that you are a visitor, but when now you decided to come and integrate in our communities, you know very well that what you have done is wrong.
How many children do you have here?
We can come to Ghana and do what you're doing.
EP passport.
And at the end, she said something that kind of made me see what kind of hate we're talking about. It's basically the sentiment that you are able to come to South Africa and create a business. I'm not able to leave South Africa and go to your country and do the same. And we want you to go home and create that business in your own country before you come down here taken from us. And that's what it boils down to. They feel that the foreigner is taking away. And that sentiment is the world over. This is what got this current president elected. You stir up enough hate toward the immigrant coming in that your base will now begin to blame the immigrant and not the ones who are really in charge, the ones who are really making it move and shake, the ones that's keeping your wages low, your prices high. And that crunch that you're feeling as a person within your country not able to advance, that's not coming from the immigrant. That's coming from policies. And this is what's leading to the rise of this xenophobia. You're believing that the other is what's causing your misery. No, it's you. It's you and your government. Why else would we in America have the same type of problem? Although we have made some strides, all of the strides that we had made since King's assassination, since the Voter Rights Act, are being systematically scaled back. You have not seen African Americans out in these streets with these No Kings protests. You haven't seen us out in these streets in large numbers with the ICE immigration raids because we know what's coming. We have been through these phases of nationalism for 100 years. We know what it is, and it's all about the numbers. But what I do not understand about South Africans, you have the numbers, but yet you direct those numbers to a group that's smaller than you, the immigrant, not the group that's also smaller than you, the white South Africans who own 90% of your country. Where really is the problem? Do you think it'll be any easier for you to make a living in South Africa if that 2% of the population was gone? I think it's a lot of misplaced aim. And I think instead of forcing these immigrants or asking them or telling them or beating them to go back to their own country, what are you doing in your country to make your lives better? Probably the same thing we're doing in the United States. Not much.